Jim Molan has returned to the Senate after losing his seat at the May election. Molan ruffled a few feathers in New South Wales after running a below-the-line campaign that attracted a record number of individual votes. Despite that campaign displeasing several National Party figures, Senator Molan was the overwhelming favourite to replace Arthur Sinodinos, and Liberal Senator Jim Molan joins me live now from Canberra. Jim, before we get to your return to the Senate, welcome to the show, by the way. I just want to get your thoughts on the breaking news that we've got at the moment, that the Westpac CEO, Brian Hartzer, has stepped down.
Yes, and I think it was quite right that this should be left in the hands of the board and the chairman. I think that has now occurred, and Westpac ought to move on.
What do you make of these comments that he'd made, Senator, before he stepped down today? It's on the Australian today. Stay calm. This is no Enron. We're going to have to cancel the Christmas party this year because it's a bad look. I mean, what does that say to you, that they are completely out of touch, that it's more about themselves rather than their customers?
Well, it's hard to tell the context of those. I assume he was talking to his own staff internally and someone's leaked them, but it does show a degree of insensitivity. He is not reported, and I don't know the full speech or the context, but he's not reported as expressing a degree of empathy with those that Westpac's actions may have impacted on, particularly the children.
Yeah, I guess it shows if people within your own office are leaking against you, that it's time to go.
Well, it's time to go, and I suspect he's made the right decision.
OK. Just on to some of the other issues at the moment, Senator. China at the moment, it's a hot-button issue. On 60 Minutes on Sunday night, it was alleged and claimed that Chinese spy rings are operating with impunity around Australia at the moment. Duncan Lewis thinks China is taking over our political system. At what level do you think it's at?
Well, I don't think they're operating with impunity. Certainly, ASIO, the Director General of ASIO, has come out and said that they've been aware of it for a considerable period of time. The reason it came up was that the person concerned went to ASIO and reported what he had been asked to do. Of course, he was then found dead in a hotel room. So I don't think they're working with impunity, but it should concern us deeply. I personally am not surprised. I assume that this goes on all the time. That's why the Abbott, Turnbull, Morrison government have funded our agencies so well over the last 7 years. They are good agencies, they are moral agencies, and they protect us. No organisation such as your intelligence organisation can know everything and do everything. But I have a great respect for them, Pete, and I think Australia should be proud of them. But to say that they've been acting with impunity kind of implies that we have no idea what's going on. I think ASIO are far, far better than that.
Do you think all MPs and candidates should be subject to national security screening?
That's an interesting question. I've spent the last 25 years of my life being annually screened, positively vetted, investigated and looked at. So for me, it's not a drama. No, yeah, I'd have to think that one through, Pete. I haven't looked at that issue. The party is responsible for the candidates, and we go through an internal party vetting setup, but it doesn't go. It's not a positively vetting thing where they check out, where you've been for the last 20 or 30 years. I think you might find that if we subject all of our elected representatives throughout the country to a positive vetting system, the whole system will collapse. It is an extraordinary detailed process, takes an extraordinary long period of time. The practicality of it, Pete, may not work. Right,
OK. Senator Barnaby Joyce, he wants a pause on big deals that are involving Chinese companies. This relates to a Chinese company buying up Lion Dairy at the moment. It follows another big purchase of Bellamy's. So Barnaby Joyce wants a pause on this. What do you think? Where do you think we should stand on that?
Well, this is the stuff for the party room meetings, the Liberal Party meeting, then the party room meeting for the coalition. And this is the kind of stuff that we should address in detail. It's valid that it be raised, but we did go through all this with the Japanese. There's no two ways about it. and the Japanese made great investments in this country throughout the 60s, 70s and the 80s, and then most of them went home. The land still stayed here, the company still stayed here. Pete, I've only been mixed up with one of these big ones, and that was the attempt by a Hong Kong company called CKI to buy our East Coast gas pipeline system, a company called APA. They were offering $13 billion for this, and following the Darwin leasing of the Darwin port to a Chinese company, the Foreign Investment Review Board seems to be operating quite well. They looked at that, examined the proposal. They examined how strategic, how critical APA, the pipeline company, was to Australia, and they rejected the proposal to take it over. So, yes, by all means, let's discuss that within the party and come to a party idea, but we do have a system which, under David Irvine, ex-head of ASIO himself, I think is now working quite well.
Jim Molan, just finally, you're a senator again. Is it good to be back?
It is good to be back, and you know, being a politician is not something which most Australians identify with or strive to be. But meeting my colleagues again yesterday, having been through the pre-selection process, it is good to be back. We can do good work. We might be a bit clumsy sometimes, but we can do good work for the people of Australia. Certainly that's what I hope to do as a member of the Morrison government. And
just finally, any view on which way Jackie Lambie might go tomorrow?
No, I've spoken to Jackie once, and it wasn't about those issues, so we'll see what happens.
Okay,
There's nothing like a good bit of integrity, though, I think.
Senator Jim Molan, good to have you back. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate your time.